Yo, welcome back everybody to a brand new video here on the second channel, and today we're going to look at every single deck that made day 2 at the Indianapolis Regional Championships this weekend. Of course, Indianapolis was a very interesting tournament, mainly because of the decks that took up the top 8. I mean, half the top 8 was Shempao, and the deck that won the tournament also caught a lot of people, including myself, off guard. There were some very interesting meta developments in this tournament, and some very interesting decks for sure that did make it all the way into the top 8. I'm excited here to take a look at all the decks that made day 2 at the Indianapolis Regionals. I, of course, was in attendance. I didn't do as good in the tournament. That's why there's no tournament report on the channel. I played Arctina. Didn't do too hot with it. I'll actually be showing my Arctina list that I played very soon in this day 2 video. The Arctina didn't do too hot for me. I don't know if I would play it again, because last time I played Arctina to a regional was Milwaukee last year, and I also bombed that tournament too. So unfortunately, Arctina is a deck that I should just not play at a regionals, because I just do not do well with Arceus Giratina. But without further ado, we should get into the video here. Of course, y'all are new to the second channel. Make sure to subscribe down below. We're on the road to 14K subs, and go on to leave a like if you enjoy today's video. And let's take a look at all the decks that made day 2 at this regional. And of course, the big story of the tournament is Dialga V-Star winning the tournament. Andrew Hedrick winning his fourth regionals with the deck. And that's pretty crazy. I mean, Dialga V-Star is pretty weird to see this deck do so good. I mean, it's not a bad deck going into the tournament. I think a lot of people were like, this deck's cool, it's a fun idea, it's a fun deck, but it's not ever going to do too good. And a lot of people write it off as having like a bad Charizard matchup, but Andrew Hedrick proved everyone wrong. In a field where like the meta was like, what, 25% Charizard or something like that in day 1, Andrew Hedrick still ended up winning the entire thing with Dialga. I think part of the reason why it did so good, obviously, is it also was very beneficial that Shempao was really popular this tournament too. Shempao's a naturally good matchup for Dialga, mainly because you do have Star Chronos. You can knock out all their Baxes or Bibarels. You have the Zamazenta. Yeah, you're pretty favored in the Shempao matchup, I would say. And you have a good control matchup and stuff. Like, you have a great matchup spread across the board, which is how strong Dialga really is. And it's crazy to see Dialga win a regional, because, like, I don't think anyone would have expected Dialga Matang to ever win a regional, but here we are. It is now a regional winning deck. And it's kind of like what we've been seeing since Orlando's with Dialga, with the 4 Research, 4 Iono, 3 Boss, the Prime Catcher in the deck too, 15 Energy, 4 Super Rod, just pretty much straight consistency. Yeah, very straight and forward consistent Dialga deck. Second place, we did have Jishan with the Shempao deck, of course. Shempao is basically the second best deck in the format, and I think that it definitely did have a rough time in the finals, having to play against Dialga, not the greatest matchup for the deck, but Shempao definitely is still a strong deck regardless. And like I said, it was like half of the top 8 was Shempao. They might all have been the same 62. There was a Lost Box deck in top 4. Now, I expected Lost Box to be a bit more popular this weekend, mainly because it was coming off that recent success at the Sao Paulo Regionals, and it did end up getting top 4 in the tournament regardless. It did do pretty good. It was not a bad meta call for the tournament. I mean, your matchup against Shempao is fine. You just have to make sure you can get Greninja or Sableye off really quickly. Of course, you do have... I would imagine if you were playing Mew in the deck, you would have a fine matchup into Dialga. But yeah, Lost Box is still very strong, and I'm very happy to see it still do good. This could be the last time we see Lost Box do well, by the way, mainly because of a certain Dragon EX Pokemon coming down the next set. Now, Grant Manley did make top 4 with a very interesting deck also, and that was the Wigglytuff Pidgeot Control deck. Now, we've been seeing Pidgeot Control have some success in the past couple of tournaments, and that's mainly been off the backing of the EUIC top 4 list that played the Noivern, a little bit more of a straightforward build by Alessandro Comsoli, but we are seeing Graham Manley here playing the Pidgeot control deck here with the Wigglytuff and the Cloth, so it's a little bit more teched out. The Wigglytuff being really hard to KO due to its enormous HP that it gets with the ability, and then of course you have the Cloth, which is also really good against Charizard, because every time they hit the Cloth, right, they have to discard the energy, and you can like penny loop it and whatnot. So yeah, Pidgeot control is a very strong deck. It's actually one of the decks I hit in the tournament, and it's the deck that I lost to that took me out of potential day 2 contention. So it was definitely a good call for the tournament to play Pidgeot Control. It did make it all the way into top 4. The Dialga matchup's not very good for the deck. Shempao's also... I mean, I think Shempao's basically like a fine matchup. It can go bad, but Shempao's also technically a good matchup. But they do play very aggressive against you, and that can be a bit of a problem, right? They can like easily like play very fast against you, and it can really put you on the clock, especially when they have the ability to like one-shot your Pidgeots and all your big EX Pokemon. But yeah, Pidgeot Control, definitely a very strong card, or a very strong deck in the format right now. And yeah, I think it's still going to be good going into LA, which is going to be like the last regional in this tournament. And then finally, we had 3 other Shenpao decks to round out the top 8. Kind of crazy stuff. We saw Mahone here in top 4, which is kind of cool to see also. But yeah, there's a lot of Shenpao in top 8. Like I said, half of the top 8 was Shenpao, which is crazy. We saw Andrew Mahone also make top 8 with Shenpao. And like I said, most of the Shenpao 60s are very much just similar, right? Just I think the Shenpao optimal Shenpao 60 has been figured out right now, except that it's just kind of going back and forth on the Frigibacks as you play. You see Jishen here playing the collect Frigibacks, and then the 2 6 HP ones, and yeah. It's like you got Andrew Mahone playing the 3 6 HP ones. But for the most part, this is like basically the optimal 60 if you're going to ever play Shenpao right now in our format. And then, of course, we did have 1 Charizard on top 8. Now, Charizard, of course, is still the best deck in the format right now, in my opinion. It is still a very good deck. You still have to respect Charizard. Now, there wasn't as much Charizard in the top 8 because there's only 1 in the top 8. It was the most popular deck in the room, and there's only 1 in top 8. And that will mostly happen when a deck this good is one of the most targeted decks in the format. Everyone was trying to beat Charizard. Everyone was checking out to beat it. And the one Charizard deck that did really good here was playing the Maximum Belt as the ace spec in the deck. And I thought the Regieleki Charizard deck was going to be a little bit better for this weekend, but it turns out that Max Belt Charizard was the one Charizard deck that performed the best. Now, is it the best way to play Charizard? Is Ian Robb's top 8 Charizard list here the best version of Charizard right now going forward? We'll have to see. There are still all the other versions of Charizard that could still be very strong, especially with like Dialga doing good. I'm not as key on Max Bell being the best ace spec for Charizard for that matchup, but Charizard definitely just getting top 8 doesn't surprise me. But yeah. And we did have Lucas here bubble out of top 8. Same 60 as Grand Shen with the Shenpao deck. Then we got another Pidgeot control outside of top 8. We got Caleb Gettimer. Yeah, Caleb, Bazul, and Grant all played the Pidgey control deck here. And we see Caleb also nearly get into top 8. He got the got top 16 with the Pidgeot control. So pretty good showing for the Pidgeot control deck here. Then we got another Shenpao deck in top 16 here with John Ang, once again playing like the same 60. And then we got another Charizard here in top 16. This one does have the Hero's Cape and the Mist Energy in the deck. So 2 different ace specs in Charizard this weekend. And the 2 highest performing Charizard EX decks this weekend in Indianapolis were playing Max Belt and Hero's Cape and not Prime Catcher, which I find very interesting. But yeah, Charizard getting top 16 with the Hero's Cape Mist Energy combo. It's not terrible. With all the Shenpao going around, it might not have been a bad call, except this version of Charizard doesn't have the Eerie in the deck. So I guess like the 2 biggest Charizard decks from this weekend weren't running Eerie, which is interesting. I thought Eerie was going to be a lot more popular, which could have been a good thing for the 2 Lost Box decks here we have in the top 16. In fact, they're the same 60. We got Jackson Ford and Leonardo here playing the exact same 60 for Turbo Lost Box. Not the same 60 as the one in top 8. It does have the Mew EX in the deck, which is a very strong card. But yeah, we do have 2 Lost Boxes in top 16 here. We got Reagan once again with the Shenpao deck. Just once again, same 60 as everyone else that we looked at before. And yeah, just Shenpao doing really good this weekend. It's kind of crazy to see. And then we got another deck in top 16 here. We got a Lost Tina in top 16. I do think Lost Tina was kind of slipping a little bit for this tournament. Arc Tina was a lot better of a meta play, or meta call. That doesn't make any sense. Arc Tina was a better meta call for the tournament than Lost Tina was, I think. Lost Tina definitely started to fall off a little bit, but there was still one in top 16. Honestly, Lost Tina could be a little bit stronger right now if Pidgeot Control continues to see more success. We could see more Lost Tina do better, but for this tournament, it might not have been as good as a call. And of course, outside the top 16, there was a Lugia deck. Now, Lugia definitely does seem like it wasn't bad for this tournament. There was a lot of like interesting things that could have went well for Lugia. Obviously, all the Shenpao that was doing really good was not a good sign for the deck, but Lugia was still like an okay deck for this tournament. There was a lot of Arceus decks this weekend, and that was a huge benefit for Lugia. And also, like with Pidgeot Control doing really good, and I would even argue Dialga doing good. This all could be good things for Lugia. I mean, especially if you play a Mew. I mean, I would actually, well, Mew wouldn't do anything in the Dialga matchup anyways, actually, because you have the Summoning Star. Okay, I lied. Maybe the Dialga matchup's not as good as I thought, because they can also just Star Chronos both your Archeops and knock them out. But I don't know, Lugia definitely seemed like it was a decent deck for this tournament, just because of all the Arc decks. It is scary that Shenpao is really popular, but Future Hands was on the decline in this tournament. We'll have to see where the highest placing Iron Hands Future deck is. We got Makani here with the Arc deck. And it's the Arc Grabber control deck here, so more of the just playing in the control build of the Arc Grabber deck, of course. Now, this build does have some potential still in the meta. It is a little bit stronger with what it's trying to do. The Eries, the Hero's Cape, the Fluttermane, the TM Devo. Like, there's a lot of just annoying cards in this deck to deal with. You got the Grabbers, of course. You got the Judge spam. Yeah, it's a very strong deck. I actually played against this deck in round 3 of Indianapolis. But yeah, definitely an interesting version of Arc for sure. And still seeing the deck do well is nice to see, because I do think it is still strong. And then we got another Pidgeot control here by Ryan Antonucci. I think he's playing the same 60, same 60 as everyone else there. Once again, just playing the Pidgeot control, which seemed to be a good call for this tournament. A lot of Pidgeot control did really good. And then we got Josh Frink here with the highest placing Arc Tina list. Now, I want to say this is the 60 I played. So when I was at the Shovel Squad Airbnb this weekend, I was going to play Ancient Box, and Josh Frink and PJ both convinced me to play Arc Tina. And they sold me on it, and that was going to be my second pick for the tournament regardless. It was either going to be Ancient Box or Arceus Giratina. And then I went over to Arctina. I was testing Ancient Box, and obviously, your Zard matchup's not good. And I was getting cooked by Arctina because of the Lost City. So I was like, all right, let's just play Arctina. And this is the 60 that I played to the tournament. Yes, the deck had Prime Catcher in the deck. Prime Catcher is very, very strong. Now, did I miss Maximum Belt? There was like one game where I missed it. I played against an Iron Hands Future deck, and I did miss it in that matchup. Apart from that, Prime Catcher is really, really strong. One of the benefits of Prime Catcher is that you get both ability to gust and judge your opponent in a single turn. There were so many games this weekend where Prime Catcher came up a lot, and it is one of the best cards in the deck. It's like low-key a good card to have in Arctina. Now, the one thing the deck did have was the double Iron Leaves. I was like, okay on that. I don't think the deck needs Iron Leaves. This is the 9th place list from Sao Paulo Regionals. So yeah, this was a 9th place deck from Sao Paulo Regionals. The same 60 we played. And the double leaves definitely felt a little, like, it felt okay. I thankfully didn't start Iron Leaves in any of the matches, but I think looking back, I think you should just go back down to 1 Iron Leaves. I thought 2 was a little too excessive for sure. But the deck felt good. The 3-3 Bib was really good to have. I never really had any games where I was never setting up Bib roll because I had a 3-3 line. The 4 Judge to Iono felt fine too. Like, the supporter count felt good. The Prime Catcher was the big card that really did fill this deck's prophecy. Like, the Prime Catcher was really good. There were so many times where, you know, you have this insane combo of going Prime Catcher Judge. It's also really good with Giratina in the late game, mainly because sometimes Giratina's in the active, you can't move it or you can't retreat it because you can't give up that much energy. Because then you'll like lose out on doing Lost Impact again. When you have Jet, Switch, and Prime Catcher as switch outs, it actually feels a little bit safer, which is nice. That's another thing I want to note about the deck. So there you go. That's why I played the Arctina. We got another Lost Box here. Once again, same 60. Jackson Leonardo here, piloted by Michael. And then we got our Guardy, first Guardy deck here in top 32. Guardy definitely was an okay deck for this tourney. I think with all the Shampoo going around, though, it felt like it wasn't in the greatest position for this tournament for sure. But Gardevoir was still just a strong deck. Like, it still can win games. It's got a good Arc matchup, I would imagine, and stuff like that. So, like, Gardevoir's still not in a terrible spot for this tournament. Just with all the Shampoo doing really good, it obviously was a big issue for the deck. And we see the Guardy here, once again, just playing the one of Drifloon and all that stuff. So we got our first Future Hand. So there was one in top 32. Look at that. Okay, I didn't think there was one in top 32. But yeah, Future Hands definitely wasn't as big this weekend. It wasn't as popular. And that was a good thing for like decks like Lugia to do a little bit better. But yeah, we do see the Future Iron Hands deck here in top 32. With the Iron Leaves in the deck here for the Charizard matchup. And that's interesting. We got another Lost Tina here in top 32. With the leaves, pretty straightforward build. Well, that actually had a TM Devo on the deck, which actually was a big card to have. And we have a Zapdos Bather deck once again in this tournament in day 2. Once again, just kind of like the one I don't even know what to call it. It's just like, it's one of those decks that like people are like, it exists, but I'm not really going to respect it or look at it. But there was still one in top 32 regardless here. And I would imagine it was actually not bad for this tournament, mainly because of the Bayonet, right? The Bayonet being really good into the Shampoo matchup. Once again, Braden Elford with the deck. And then we got 2 Dialga decks here. Once again, same 60 as Andrew Hedrick here. And we got another Dialga here by Jesse Parker. This was a little bit different. Did have the Serena boss split, played a Lost Vacuum, and played an Irida in the deck, which can get you like Greninja Buddy Poffin, which would probably help you set up a lot more. So yeah, pretty cool stuff, pretty cool stuff. And then we got another Pidgeot Control here, piloted by Azul in top 32. Same list as before. Pidgeot Control being good for this tournament, and it did really, really good. Probably the best performance we've seen for Pidgeot Control, mainly because everyone in Azul's group made top 32. And then we got a interesting Lost Box Maridon deck here in top 32. We've seen this before in the past tournaments. I think even EUIC we saw this deck pop up. It's an interesting concept using a Maridon with all these lightning Pokemon to fill your bench up. And of course, you can use Maridon with Mirage Key to power it up. But also, Maridon deck is very interesting. The one big thing in the deck is the Oranguru V, which is still kind of a weird card to see in the deck for sure. But it does have that ability where it's in the active spot. You can search check for 2 tools, reveal them, and put them in your hand, which can grab you like the 4 Seal Stones and stuff like that. So a very interesting inclusion for sure. And then we got another C-Pow deck here, of course, in top 32. C-Pow just did really good this weekend. Going forward, C-Pow, it's not the BDIF. I think it's still going to be Charizard, obviously, but C-Pow definitely would still keep its spot as second best deck. We got another Zard deck here playing the maximum belt, same 60 as the Ian Robles in top 8, of course. And then we got Kieran Farah with the Shempow deck once again. One of the Shempow CEOs piloting the deck to a top 32 finish. All right, and then outside the top 32, we do have the future Lost Box deck here. Now, I've seen this deck from before. I think it was from Orlando. The deck uses the Shaman, the Hands, the Iron Valiant. Iron Valiant actually being a pretty strong attacker in the deck. It does really good numbers. You're essentially doing 220 with it, thanks to its ability. You got the Minior, you got the glasses in the deck, obviously, for Iron Hands. It's a really cool Lost Box deck. Something that I definitely want to try out at some point. But yeah, really cool Lost Box deck. And unfortunately, I did not quite get top 32. Did bubble out at 33rd place, but still cool to see the deck do as good. And then we got another Guardy deck here in top 64, playing the one Drifloon and stuff like that. And then we got 2 Zards here. We got Brent Tonniston with the Reggie Lecky Zard deck here. So still playing to the control build with the Eerie, the Reggie Lecky, the Team Devo in the deck. Yeah, I thought Reggie Lecky was good for Zard this weekend. And with all the C-Pow going around, maybe it actually ended up being the best way to play Reggie Lecky. Who knows? And then we got another Zard here playing the maximum belt in the deck as the ace pick of choice. Interesting enough, there is a Raging Bolt in top 64. That's cool. So it is a more turbo build of Raging Bolt. It does play the Raikou V in the deck, and we've seen this before too. It might have been from the online tournaments where we actually seen the Raikou Raging Bolt package. Because obviously Raikou is really good into Charizard, and it's not a bad attacker to play. Plus, you get to have the flex. You basically play 2 different Raikous in your deck. But yeah, it's an interesting concept, and I like to see Raging Bolt do good. Like I said, Raging Bolt is a deck that definitely could be a lot better in our format. We just got to give it time, and it is cool to see Raging Bolt have a pretty strong placement. This is, I think, the highest placing Raging Bolt deck we've seen so far in the tournament since rotation. Another Zard with the Reggie Lecky and the Eerie in the deck. Another control Zard deck. And then we got another Pidgeot control here. Not the same 60, obviously, as Azul's group, but does have the Wigglytuff and the Cloth still in the deck for the package. That one had double Snorlax in. There's actually a Arc Vulpix deck here in top 64. That's cool to see. Arcpix definitely is kind of the underdog Arc deck in the meta right now, because Vulpix is really good. If you get the lone of Vulpix in play, you do just beat Charizard. It's pretty good too in other matchups. Just 4/4 Arc, 2/2 Vulpix. No Gudra, no Noivern in the deck or anything like that. Just sticking to Arc and Vulpix. Does have Eerie and Judge and stuff like that in the deck, so a lot of disruption and a lot of annoying cards to deal with for the opponent. Another Shempow here in top 64. And then we got another Lost Box deck playing the Paradox package with the Hands, Raikou, Hoopa Moon stuff. We got a Roaring Moon deck in top 64, a more turbo Roaring Moon. Well, I guess, is it really a turbo Roaring Moon deck? I guess it's kind of a hybrid of Ancient Box and Turbo Moon, because there's no Dunsparce in the deck. So I guess it's just more of a Roaring Moon deck with the 4 Fluttermane, 4 Moon. But yeah, no Dunsparce at all. It's just plain no draw engine other than Radiant Greninja. But it is cool to see this deck do good. Roaring Moon is still obviously a very strong card. This is the worst performance, though, we've seen so far for Roaring Moon since rotation. There's obviously no Roaring Moon Dunsparce we've seen yet, no Ancient Box yet either. So the highest placing Roaring Moon deck did get top 64 at 43rd place, but definitely Roaring Moon's worst performance so far this format. Another Turbo Lost Box. Okay, that's if you're not counting the Paradox deck, I guess. If you're not counting the Paradox Lost Box deck that plays the Roaring Moon, this is the worst performance. A Roaring Moon focused deck is, I guess, how I should word that. Another Zard, the Ace Spec being the Prime Catcher, of course, with a double Turo. We got our highest placing Ancient Box, still got top 64, playing the Great Tusk. Has the Cobalion still in the deck and the 2 Koraidon. Like I said, I was going to play Ancient Box, and last minute, I ended up going with Arctina. I thought Arctina was just a better call for this tournament. I still think it was a good call for the tournament. It just sucks that I didn't do as good with the deck because I just had, the classic arc draws, and the matchup roulette wasn't very kind to me either. But I definitely kind of regret not playing Ancient Box. Part of me wishes I did end up playing Ancient Box to this tournament. It is a very fun and strong deck in the format, and honestly, with the results this weekend, I would imagine this deck might be a little bit stronger going forward in our meta. I think, obviously, your Shenpa matchup's insanely favored, and I would imagine the Dialga matchup is okay. You just have to be very careful, because Dialga will always have a turn where they can take 2 prize cards. But you can get to a point where you can just one-shot the Dialgas, and I imagine that is going to be a big help for the Roaring Moon deck. Another Pidgeot control here, playing in the Wigglytuff. The Cloth looks like the Wigglytuff Cloth deck was definitely high on the control radar. Then we got another Lugia top 64, playing a Maxim Belt. Very interesting ace spec. Actually, a lot of interesting cards. You got the Serena in the deck with the Eerie and the Arven. So a lot of different supporter cards. And then you have the Max Belt also as the ace spec. I definitely like the idea of Max Belt in Lugia. There's also like Hero's Cape. And even Prime Catcher. Like, Lugia is a deck that actually could play many of the different ace-spec cards, and they all could benefit the deck. Max Belt does let, like, Snorlax do really relevant damage into basic EXs, like Roy Moon and Shempao. Obviously, really good with Lugia V-Star to knock out basic EXs, too, with a double turbo on it to save you some energy. Really interesting inclusion. So, yeah, cool. Then we got another Zard here. My boy Simon playing at the Zard in day 2. He's got the Prime Catcher, the 2 Turos in the deck. It's more like a Tord Zard build, of course. A couple more Guardies here. And we got a Guardy with the Gallade in the deck. That's something we haven't seen in a while. And then we got another Guardy with the double Drifloon, which I think a lot of people were kind of high on the double Drifloon. Really good into, like, the matchups where, like, Lost City is popular, like Arc, obviously. We got another Lugia here. Another just more straightforward build with the Master Belt as the ace spec. Then we got another Dialga deck. Now, funny with this build here, there's no Buddy Poffin in this build. That was kind of memed on Twitter here by Peter Kika. There's no Buddy Poffin in the deck, which is definitely interesting because obviously it does hurt your setup a little bit. But there could be times where Buddy Poffin doesn't come up. Like, once you use it once, you don't have to use it again. We saw Andrew Hedrick's build played, 2 Buddy Poffin in the deck? So that's kind of funny. We got another Charizard here playing the Prime Catcher. Does have the Miss Energy in the deck, too. I think Miss Energy definitely was good for Charizard this weekend. Another Pidgeot control. This is actually the list that took me out of the tournament. Owen Rhodes here did take me out of day 2 contention. I did end up losing. Couldn't beat the Charizard loop at the end of the game in Game 1, and then Game 2 just kind of ran out of steam. The Buffon was really annoying for my deck. But yeah, Pidgeot control being really good. Different build, not playing the Wigglytuff for the Cloth, obviously. But still good in the tournament regardless. Another Zard here playing, interesting enough, a League Headquarters in the deck as one of the stadiums. That's cool. Haven't seen that in a while. And then we got another Zatchus Pather here by Julian. Probably the same 60 as Braden. And then Future Box here in day 2. So that's cool. More of a type box deck, right? You got the Iron Boulder, got the Iron Leaves, got the Iron Hands in the deck, so Future Box doing pretty good is nice. I like seeing Future Box in top 64. Obviously not the popular version of the deck compared to the Future Hands build, but still cool to see. This is the, second highest placing Future deck so far at Indianapolis. It is cool that's a Future build. Now Lugia here, playing in the Mew EX in the deck. We got another Guardy here with the Gallade in there too. That one had League Headquarters too, I saw Stadium. Now Lostina in top 64 here to round things out. Then we can move on. Outside the top 64, there was another CPOW, and then we got another Lost Box here, another Paradox Lost Box deck. This one has TM at Devo and Temple of Sinnoh. That's not bad, right? For Charizard, the TM Devo can obviously be really good in the late game, and then obviously you have the Temple of Sinnoh, which is good for Mist Energy, which honestly, if I was playing Lost Box like this, I would have expected Zard to be incorporating Mist Energy in their decks. So it would have been a little bit scarier for the Moon, obviously, because you can't Frenzy Gouge into Zard when there's a Mist Energy, but Temple of Sinnoh makes it a little bit easier to KO the Charizard when there's a Mist Energy on it. Interesting technologies in the Lost Box deck here. Another Zard with the Prime Catcher, the double Turo. We got a Lugia here, playing in the... there we go. Yeah, see, Lugia with a Prime Catcher in the deck this time around. Like I said, Lugia definitely can experiment with all the different ace-spec cards, so it is cool to see Lugia with the Prime Catcher. Another CPOW here. We got a couple more Zards we can quickly look at here. One of them's got the Prime Catcher, the double TM Devo, and then we got another Zard here with the Prime Catcher also. And no Team Devo in that build, or Miss Energy. We got a Lugia playing a Prime Catcher once again, and a Morty's Conviction, so a little bit more inclusions in the deck. Yeah, Lugia with these different ace-specs. Max Belt, Prime Catcher, cool stuff. We'll see if actually, to complete the I don't even know what the Prophecy, that's what I should say. We'll see if there's any Lugia decks with the any other ace spec like Hero's Cape. And then we got a interesting Lost Zone deck playing 2 moons in one hand. So not playing Hoopa, not playing Raikou, just opting for 2 moons in a hand. Just those are your 2 main attackers. It's got the 2 Pokestop in the deck, help you turbo through and find your Mirage Gates. I like that idea. We got a couple more Zards here. We got Cowl with Zard, put the Prime Catcher. Then we got another Zard here, Raymond Long playing the Zard with the Hero's Cape and the TM Devo Hero's Cape and the Mist Energy. Then we got another Arc deck here, playing the Arc Control deck. So there's 2 Arc Controls in day 2. So far, 2 Arc Controls in day 2 over, what, 2 Arctinas. So maybe Arc Control is just a better way to play Arc right now. Who knows? Definitely cool to see this deck still have the success post Sao Paulo. And then we got another Guardy playing the 1/1 Espathra here. Definitely a spicy tech. It does help a little bit more into Zard, obviously, right? And Espathra can be good in the Ancient matchup, which is obviously one of Guardy's harder matchups, is the Ancient matchups, because Roaring Moon just kind of demolishes this deck. So having access to Espathra might make that matchup a little bit more winnable, and maybe gives you enough time to actually just flat out win the game at that point, because Espathra can probably survive a few turns, because you do force a lot out of your opponent with energy conservation. Another Dialga playing in the Maxim Belt Uzzy spec also has the Cypher Maniac in the deck. Yeah, once again, pretty good weekend for Dialga. We got a couple more Zards here to look at here. We got a Zard here with the Prime Catcher. We got another Zard playing the Hero's Cape and the Mist Energy in the deck, and an Eerie. And then we got another Zard here with the Maxim Belt Uzzy spec. We got another Roaring Moon deck here. Okay, another Fluttermane Moon deck, I guess you'll call it. No Dunsparce in this build. Does have the 3 Pokestop, and it's got the Cyclozar in the deck as like a free tree pivot, so that's cool. Cool stuff. And we got a couple more Guardies here. We got one Guardie with, a TM Devo in the deck. Spicy. Helps a little bit more against Zard, I guess. The more the merrier. We got another Guardie Espathra deck. So yeah, the technology of playing Espathra outside of Xatu is starting to spread over into Gardevoir. And like I said, does help your Ancient matchup. Ancient wasn't as popular this weekend, so I'm not sure if the Espathra was as good, but I guess it does still make your Zard matchup a little bit better anyway, so it's like kind of the same thing, I guess. And there's a Roaring Moon to Dunsparce. So unfortunately, Roaring Moon to Dunsparce did not have the greatest showing this weekend. The highest placing one here being in the top 128. So that's interesting. This deck still is strong, but I guess it's starting to fall off a little bit in our meta. And we got another Zard with the Prime Catcher Ace Spec card in the deck. Another Seapow here. Another Zard. Jake Gearhart playing the Cape and the Mist Energy in the Zard deck. And then we got another Charizard here playing. It's a Bibzard, though, this time around. So Bibzard definitely is still interesting. He's playing Great Ball, too, in the deck for the Pokemon Search. Yeah, Bibzard is interesting. I did play against a Bibzard in day 1. Which is a little bit scary for Arctina, just because there's no Pidgeon play. You have to directly go after the Charizards, but thankfully the Prime Catcher did come up because I was able to take out like the lone Bibarel and stuff, but that's here nor there. But Bibzard's still, like, it's not a bad Zard deck, and there's one in day 2, so there you go. We got another Zard here, piloted by Maddox, and we got another Lost Zone pile, just another Paradox package Lost Box deck. Another Arc here, another Arc Control. So yeah, Arc Control was a lot more popular in day 2, it looks like, than Arctina was. Maybe I should have just played Arc Control instead of Arctina if I was going to play Arc this weekend. Maybe that was a better call. Another Zard with the Mist Energy in the deck. No Hero's Cape, though, playing Prime Catcher. Another Dialga. Justin here. Oh, man. He started off so good in day 1. He was like 8-1. Fortunately, he didn't do as good in day 2. But yeah, Dialga still dominated this tournament. Like I said, just Dialga's tonks are going way up, which is ridiculous to think about. And then we got another Ancient Box deck here in day 2. So, yeah, like I said, Ancient Box didn't do as good this tournament. I wasn't surprised to see it not do as good. It is definitely a deck that does seem like it will run hot for, like, one regional and then kind of fall off a little bit. Even though I was going to play it to this tournament, still kind of regretting not playing it. Another Dialga here with the Irid and the Serena. Same 60. We see Andrew Kennett with the deck. So, yeah, same 60 as we saw earlier. And we got Snorlax here. Snorlax Stall, more straightforward Stall deck. Stall not being bad for this tournament. Just obviously not as, I guess, strong and versatile as Pidgeot Control does. Doesn't have as many options. A little bit more straightforward. But there's still at least one Snorlax in day 2 to look at that. And then we got my boy Sergio here with the very interesting Shampoo deck playing the 2/2 hands and 2 Future Booster Capsules in the deck. So basically the idea of the deck is you're trying to use Future Booster Capsule with Iron Hands to, you can one-shot Pidgeot with the Future Booster Capsule on with Amp you very much. And you can knock out Roaring Moon and Koraidon with the Future Booster Caps on to Oko them for 2 prizes, effectively fixing your Ancient matchup. That's what the Future Booster Capsule was for, which is cool. And we got, speaking of Ancient Box, Jake Uri winning it back once again in day 2 with the Ancient Box deck here. Looks like it's similar to the 60 he played to Orlando. Still, Cobalion, Great Tusk in the deck. We got another Arctina in day 2 here. Just more traditional build with the max belt, the 1 leaves. We got another Dialga in day 2. Yeah, Dialga really did good. Like I said, we're probably going to see a lot more Dialga going forward, which is crazy here. Another Lost Zone deck. And all right, this was the Groudon deck. Another deck I was very high on this weekend. I considered playing this deck this weekend when I was going in, not like the night before, but like a couple days before. I was considering playing this Groudon deck because I did do a video on it last Monday, and I thought about playing it. I was considering playing Groudon this weekend because I think this deck is still really good into Zard. But problem is, playing a Lost Zone deck to a Regionals, bro, I don't know if I have the brain capacity to do that. It would seem a little difficult, but I definitely like this deck a lot. And I'm still happy to at least see one Groudon in day 2. Another Guardy with double Drifloon. Then we got another Dialga deck here. Another Seapow. Yeah, a lot of the Seapow decks are going to look the same. Probably the Dialga decks, too, are kind of like... Not the Optimal 60's been figured out, but I think they're all going to be a little similar. Another Zard with the Prime Catcher Ace-Spec card. Another Lugia here playing Master Ball and a Vitality Band. Okay, that's interesting. Also, 2 Morty within the deck, too. A little bit more spice in that one. We got another Lost Tina here in day 2. We got a couple more Charizards here. One with the Prime Catcher and the Mist Energy. And then we got another one with Prime Catcher and double Charmeleon. Another Lugia with more straightforward build here, piloted by Zach Lesage, playing it. Run it back with Lugia. Zach is the Lugia Demon in the format. Another Guardy with double Drift. Another Seapow. Let's see. Another Zard with the Hero's Cape and the Mist Energy combo within the deck. Another Lost Tina. All right, what else do we got here? Ooh, there's a Palkia deck in day 2. Sammy Allen. Oh, it's Palkia Raging Bolt. Okay, lol. Palkia Bolt. I'm a believer in this deck. It was the first video I did when Temporal Forces came out. And I'm still a believer in Raging Bolt Palkia. I'm happy to see actually one in day 2. Dude, Raging Bolt is starting to rack up the day 2s. I'm just saying, the deck's starting to become its own thing now. It's starting to rack up the day 2s because we got another Raging Bolt here in day 2, and it's the Palkia build. I still really like the Palkia version of Raging Bolt a lot. I think there's still like a lot of potential here. For sure. And I'm happy to see one in day 2. That's really cool to see. We got another Seapow with the middle backs, baby, the Arctibacks. Got another Lost Tina with the Spiritomb in the deck. And then we got another Arctina here in day 2 with Max Belt, the 3 Lost Cities and whatnot. And a lot of Charizard in a row here. We'll just go through these real quick here. A lot of them. We got one Zard with I wanted Eerie. Got another Zard. It's a Regieleki Zard with double Eerie in the deck, so a lot more disruption. We got another Zard here with the Mist Energy and the Prime Catcher. We got another Zard here with the Prime Catcher. My boy Dan playing it. And then we got one more Zard. So there you go. A lot of Zards in a row. We got another Raging Bolt in day 2. Another Turbo Raging Bolt build. Not playing Palkia or Lost in Engine. Just, keeping it more straightforward with Mew and Squawkabilly. Yeah, a lot more Raging Bolt in day 2 than I would have thought, bro. That's got me excited. I'm not going to lie. That's got me excited. Another Zard with the Max Belt and the Mist Energy in the deck there. We got another Seapow. And then we got another future box deck here. Well, it's more of an Iron Hands deck. It's got the double leaves, obviously, but it is leaning more into the Iron Hands. Another Pidgeot control. Once again, playing the Wigglytuff, the Cloth, and the Luxray package. Another Arctina with the Max Belt as A-Spec. And then we got another Guardy. Look at that, more Guardy. And another Lost Tina. And then here's where things get interesting. Oh, that's Lost Tina, the Snorlax. Something I haven't seen in a while. We got Stephen Bates, Pro Circuit Scrub, with the wacky Cloth deck here. So Cloth with like Cram, Colress, Crisis Punch is basically just you attack with Cloth, and you use Crisis Punch at the end of the game with Cramorant. You obviously have that extra poison damage with the Brute Bonnet and the Sneasel. You can do some decent damage. You have the Cobalion to hit a little bit harder into like Moon and Zard and whatnot. It's a very interesting 60. I'm pretty sure like James Cox is like the originator of this deck, but it is still very cool to see it get day 2. And Steven likes to play the more off-meta stuff. And in fact, Steven is a Cloth connoisseur, I would say. We've seen a lot of that on Twitter. All right, we got another Zard with Prime Catcher as the A-Spec. Back-to-back Shempow and Zard. I got confused for a sec. Oh, Shempow with Arctibak, Kyogre, and Rotom, and Skwovet Bibarel in the deck. Whoa, the technology is real. Another Zard with Prime Catcher and Eerie. We got Roaring Moon. Dunsparce once again. Like I said, not doing as good this weekend, but yeah, the deck maybe which wasn't the greatest call, unfortunately, for this tournament. Sad to see. A couple more Arctinas here. Yep, 2 more Arctinas with Max Pulse, the A-Spec. We got a Lost Zone deck, another Paradox package, another Seapow, and then we got our first Goldengo in day 2. A couple Goldengos in day 2 is pretty cool. We got Goldengo with the 1/1 Rev Room. The Rev Room's kind of smart, because when you get Iono'd, as long as you draw into a way to get energy, you can Rev Room into a bigger hand. I think I did a video on the Goldengo Rev Room deck back when Paradox Rift first came out, because it did good in like an online tournament, so it's definitely an interesting concept for sure. Another Pidgey Zard deck here. Whoa, it's got Judge in the deck and Jock. Very interesting supporter lineup there. Another Lugia deck. More straightforward build. And then another Goldengo in day 2. This one not obviously having River Room. Still playing the Palkia, though. A couple more Arctinas here with the Max Belt and whatnot. Got Joe Turntime there with the Arctina 60. And then he ran back from Orlando with like a couple changes. Another Lost Zone Tina deck here. We got another Ancient Box, it looks like, in day 2. Then we got another... Wait, what? That one's classified as Roaring Moon, but that one's classified as Ancient Box. Wait, did they mix it up? No, they're both Ancient Box decks. All right, never mind. Look at that. I thought that was going to be like a Turbo Moon deck or something. Interesting. We got my boy Anil here in day 2 with the Dialga deck. And then we got another Arctina with the Prime Catcher. So like I said, the Prime Catcher being still relevant. This one did have Shoes, so it had Shoes and Prime Catcher. No Lost City in that build of Arctina, though, it looks like. Got another Lugia with the Prime Catcher Ace-Specs. There you go. Lugia really expansion with the Ace-Specs this weekend. Another Ancient Box deck in day 2. Another Zard with the Prime Catcher and the Eerie in the deck, it looks like, for the Ace-Spec of choice. 2 more Lost Tinas here. We'll quickly just kind of skim through these real quick. 2 Lost Tinas, because like the Lost Tina 6 has been figured out. And we got another interesting Lost Zone deck playing the Future package again with the Iron Valiant, the Hands, the Iron Crown, and does have the Shaman in there. A couple more C-Pows here to look at real quick. And then, let's see, we got another Zard with the Max Belt and Eerie in the deck. A little bit more ticked out for the mirror there. Another Guardy. 3 more Zards we can quickly look at here. We got a Zard with Prime Catcher, Mist Energy. And then we got another Zard with the Prime Catcher, no Mist Energy. And then we got another Charizard with the Prime Catcher, no Mist Energy. Another Arctina here, playing the Max Belt. Another Lugia with the Master Ball spec. Dude, if we see a Lugia with the Hero's Cape, dude, it'd be kind of sick. Just saying. Just saying. More Arctina, another Lost Zone deck, another Paradox Lost Box deck, it looks like. We got another Pidgeysard with the Prime Catcher. And let's see what else. We got another Lugia. Look at that. Lugia with Prime Catcher also. And Palpad, and Vacuum, and Cypher Maniac. Whoa, there's a lot more going on. Oh, it's got Pokestop. So I guess the idea of this build is you Cypher Maniac 2 chops on top of the deck, then you Pokestop them away. I mean, that's not a bad idea, I guess. It's cool. A lot of technology in that Lugia deck. Another C-Pow, another Zard with the Prime Catcher, it looks like, in that one. We got another Iron Hand stack here in day 2. We got another Pidgeysard with the Hero's Cape and the Eerie within the deck. And we got a couple of Goldengos here in day 2. We got one with the 1/1 Scizor in the deck. And then we got another Goldengo here with no Scizor, no Rever or anything. And then we got another Future Hand with the Crisis Punch. Another Arctina here with Max Belt. And then we got 3 more Charizards. Like I said, there's a lot of Charizard in this tournament. It was the most played deck. What would you expect, right? But it'll be interesting to actually see where Charizard goes post Indianapolis. Because like there's only one more major tournament left this format. So it'll be interesting to see where it goes with like Dialga and C-Pow doing so good this weekend. A couple of C-Pows and Guardies here we can quickly look at here. And then let's see, we got another Future Hands. Look at that. Another Zatuus Pathra in day 2. Yeah, interesting stuff for sure. I mean, Zatuus Pathra might get better if like we see more C-Pow. I mean, we're going to see a lot of C-Pow, but maybe we'll see even more. Maybe that'll be good for Zatuus Pathra. Because again, the Bayonet just goes really hard in the deck. Another Zard. Let's see, we got another Arctina here. Alex Szymanski playing the same 60 as Josh Frank. I played, well, essentially, yeah, the Sao Paulo 60 with the Prime Catcher and stuff. The double leaves and whatnot. Another Lost Zone Groudon deck in day 2. Yay! I like seeing Groudon in day 2. Happy to see another Lost Groudon deck make day 2. Got another Pidgeysard. Another C-Pow. Let's see what else. Got another Arctina here with the double leaves and Prime Catcher. So there you go. Another... well, this one, it's not the same 60 as Sao Paulo, because it would have said under there. But yeah. Okay, it's 4/4 Arc. That's why it's got the 4/4 Arc V-Star in the deck. Another Zard with the Hero's Cape and the Mist Energy and the Eerie. Got another Lugia with the 2 Mortis Conviction and the Arven in the deck and Vitality Man and Buddy Poffin to help find your Minchinos there. Interesting. Another Dialga. 2 more Pidgeysards we can quickly look at here. Just quickly go through these real quick. This one's got the Yell's Cheer in the deck. Another Torch 60. Another Arctina here. Just the more traditional build with the Max Belt. And we got a couple of Lost Tinas to look at. Yeah, like I said, Lost Tina didn't do as good this weekend. Not surprised. I think it was falling off a little bit. Again, it might get a little bit better, though. We'll have to see where it goes going forward in our format. I don't know if Lost Tina actually has a good Dialga matchup, though. Would it have a good Dialga matchup? I don't know if it would. Huh. I mean, if Lost Tina has a good Dialga matchup, maybe it's okay. I don't know. Nazard with Eerie, 2 TM Devos, a Hero's Cape, and a Mist Energy. And then we got another C-Pow. Another Guardy with 2 Drifloons. Another Dialga in day 2, of course. Dialga being the star of the show this weekend. And we got another Ancient Box with the Cobalion. No Great Tusk or anything in there. And we got another Moon and a Dunsparce in day 2. Yeah, unfortunate to see the deck kind of fall a little bit, but maybe it'll rebound. You never know. Maybe. Another Wigglytuff Control with the Cloth in day 2 here. We got another Bibzard in day 2 with the Vitality Band, the Defiance Band Prime Catcher. Interesting stuff to see Bibzard still up there. Another Arctina with the Max Belt. Another Future Toolbox deck. Well, I guess it's more of an Iron Leaves deck. It's more of like a Turbo Leaves deck. It's even got a Thorn in the deck, too. Yeah, Turbo Leaves. Yeah, Turbo Leaves. Cool stuff, cool stuff. Another Arc. Okay, it's an Arc Vulpix Charizard deck. Interesting. It's Arc Vulpix, not bad. It does have the 1/1 Vulpix, but still has that one of Radiant Zard. So it doesn't have, like, the control stuff in there. It does have Judge, but it's not really a control card. Huh, interesting. It's not a bad way to play Arc Vulpix either, with the Charizard in there. And then we got another Arctina below it with the Max Belt. Does have the Turo in the League Headquarters. Then we got a Lost Zone Raging Bolt here. Dom from Shuffle Squad running back with the Lost Bolt deck. So there's a lot more Raging Bolt in day 2 than I would have thought. It's got me pretty happy. I'm not going to lie. Then we got another Future Hand with the Crisis Punch. A couple more Zards here with one with Max Belt. And then we got another Charizard Rowan in day 2 here with the Prime Catcher build of Zards. We got another Arctina with the double. Yeah, there we go. The double leaves. The Prime Catcher there. The Sao Paulo build. Another Pidgeysard with the Prime Catcher Ace back. Let's see. Another Lost Zone deck. Ooh, so yeah, it's a Paradox Lost Box deck. Does have that Shaman in the deck, though. Would help a little bit more against Charizard. I like the inclusion of Shaman even in the Paradox build. Just making the Zard matchup a bit better. Also playing the Iono in the deck, too, with the Roxanne. So trying to be a little bit more on the disruptive side there. Another Roaring Moon to Dunsparce. Another Seapow. Quickly kind of just click through some of these decks here. We're almost done the day 2 here, so let's quickly go through some of these decks here real quick. That Pidgeysard deck played 2 6 HP Pidgeys. Interesting. Another Future Box. And then we got an Arc Armor Rouge in day 2. Only one in day 2. Actually, crazy enough, I was surrounded by a lot of Arc Armor Rouge this weekend in like the first 5 rounds. There's a lot of them around me. And honestly, it's not a bad deck going forward, especially if Dialga's going to be popular, right? So who knows? Maybe Arc Armor Rouge is going to make a bit of a rebound in the future due to Dialga's immense potential popularity post Indianapolis. We'll have to see on that one. Zard's got the Heroescape Eerie in there. Another Future Hands in day 2. And then another couple more Zards here. And we'll just quickly look at these. Yeah, a lot more Zards here to look at because we got one more Arc Armor Rouge in day 2. So 2 Arc Armor Rouge in day 2. Again, could get a little bit better with Dialga going forward. We'll have to see on that because it does seem like it could have a good matchup. And like I said, I was surrounded by a lot of Arc Armor Rouge in day 1. So surprised to only see 2 in day 2. We got another Charizard, Arc Control in day 2. And then finally, we got another Lost Tina. And there you go. Those are all the decks that made day 2 at Indianapolis. A lot more Raging Bolt in day 2 than I thought. It's very interesting stuff. The big takeaway from this weekend is, of course, the Dialga supremacy. Dialga is becoming a lot stronger now. And, I mean, who knows? Maybe Dialga is a deck to look out for going forward in our format. It might be time for Dialga to shine. Will Dialga be able to survive the next set, though, is going to be the main question. Because it really only has one more regional left in the tank with LA. Because once we get Twilight Masquerade, if Dragapult becomes super popular, it's not great for Dialga. We'll have to see, though. Dialga definitely doing good is awesome to see. And yeah, that'll be it for me on today's video here, looking at every deck that made it to at Indianapolis. There's a lot more videos we do need to make here on the channel, especially because we got some new cards that got revealed while I was away in Indianapolis. So I'm going to have to look at those in tomorrow's video. But that'll be it for me. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like. And if you're new to the channel, subscribe down below and all that good stuff. And I'll see you on another video here on the second channel. Bye-bye.